Good evening, ladies and gents, and you join me for an evening tour of All Saints Churchyard in Poplar. We'll do the outside bit first. Some of these old houses here are the ones that the Luftwaffe left behind. These gravestones would have been all around the churchyard at one point, but like most London churchyards, they moved them against the thing. That will say sacred to the memory of RY, which is going to be Henry, Dick, aged 80 years. The rest of it's worn away. A lot of them are worn away, but the ones that have the writing on, we will of course have a look at. It's a lovely church, 1817 or thereabouts, I believe. It was quite late coming. They'd been after a church for this parish for a while, because they was using Stepney until this one was built, and they built this one quite late, and that's why it's got such a big churchyard. JC 1833, MC 1843. Rest worn away on that one. I know a few people found my churchyard tours quite interesting, so HTB 1851, RDB 1858. Those ones, the small ones with the initials on like that, are normally footstones from the foot end of a grave. So you'd have a headstone and a footstone. And these people that have these would have had money. One, to be able to afford a private grave, and two, to be able to afford a headstone for said private grave. How they would feel about having them hiked up and put along the churchyard wall, we have no idea. They may not be pleased. This one's pretty good. In memory of Mr. Richard Breton. Yeah, Breton. Of this parish, who departed this life. That's mostly worn away. It's 1818. In memory of Mr. George Talbot. These whitish type ones like this and this are usually from the 18th century to very early 19th century, and they'd have things like skulls and crossbones and angels carved in the top of them. The skulls were often put on graves to remind people of death, which was also a reminder to us to live, or to the living to live. That's what a lot of that symbolism was about. Well, that's nearly completely, well, it's completely worn away. The Sutherland or Hutherland is their name on that one. That's definitely from the 1700s. I know that because one of my ancestors' graves is exactly the same as that. All that's got on it is sacred, and then it's been blasted out by the weather. John Thomas. Oh dear, to the memory of John Thomas, who died December the 23rd, 1839, aged 63. And then also below is the name William, but the rest of it's worn away. Yeah, a bit more of a view of the church. One of my own ancestors was christened in this one. 1831. Joseph Foster, that's my ancestor that was christened in here in 1831, Joseph Foster. Not a name I'm reading out. And we've got one of the vault ones here. Christopher Randall, gent of this parish, who died the something of November 1872. This would be age 75 years. This would be an old family one though, because this is much later than the period for that. So he'll be put into probably an old family grave. In memory of Anne, wife of Onestephus Randall, gent of this parish, who died December 1814, aged, I don't know if that's 62 or 82, and then you've got a verse below that. This one here. Richard Kempton, and it's got something also Hester. Sacred to the memory of George Borough, gent of this parish, who departed this life December the 28th, 1838 or 1828, aged 30, in his 38th year. Some of them have been smashed up, and some of them are completely worn away. They're all worn away, those ones. And this one is the family vault of Mr. John Travis of this parish. Sacred to the remembrance of... No, it's too worn away for me to make that out, I'm afraid. This damn wire is really getting on my nerves. Let's tuck it in there, that's it. And that's better. Tuck it there. We've got these old ones here. Family vault of... Oh, I'll look in that one in a bit, because I'm going to do the outside bit first, don't I? As I said. Don't know what this or who this one is to. Completely worn away. It's the church. Nice old church. I've been past this one many times and never really come in here till recently when I started doing all this on the page. Susanna Stevenson Preston, wife of Frederick Preston, gent of this parish. Can't make out the rest of that. Very worn away, very elaborate. Oh, how charming. And then you've got the Barclays building there, and you can't see it, but HSBC, you might be able to see it if I move a bit. Yeah. City and HSBC and all that's there. Now we shall carry on with our tour. We're going to do the outside of the churchyard, for like the outer rim of the churchyard first, and then there are some ones in the middle and that, so we'll do those. Oh god, that is so on the way. Something July. And at the bottom there it says Poplar marker. God knows. I don't know. There are more gravestones in the middle bit there, which we'll be going to have a look at once we've done the outside or outer rim of the churchyard. I did come and have a look in here this morning on my way to Greenwich, and had a walk around the outer rim of the churchyard and had a look to see what graves are legible, so I don't waste my time with doing the video. Mrs. Sarah Augusson, who died Feb 27th, 1830. I think that's 1830 or 1838. The rest of it's completely illegible. That's the 1700s one. Oh, and that's the urn spilling over. Here we go, yeah. Mrs. Fanny Ann Mrs. Fanny Ann Hitchman. Fanny Ann Hitchman, daughter of Charles, Edward and Anne Hitchman. The rest of it's worn away, I'm afraid, guys and girls. These white ones here, you're not going to really get much detail on many of those, I'm afraid. And all we've got on that one is memory of Mrs. Mary Wood. That's all I can make out on that one. Wood or Woods. There are footstones. It's worn away. Ah, this was the one I noticed earlier, and it's got details on the sides and that. To the memory of William Allet Jeeves. And he died on May the 25th, 1830 something, aged 18 years. And then there's a small verse. The text below it's illegible, I'm afraid, but yeah, round the edge it's got the family grave of William and Avis something Jeeves of this parish. And then round the backside bit of it, no, that was it, yeah. I'm sure there was one of them that had writing on. Oh yeah, there we are, look. Anchors Upper Norths. So whether that's the stonemason or not, I don't know. Yeah, it must be the stonemason's markings. That's the stonemason's marks. Yes, in memory of Louisa Torrens. Torrens, Torrens, born at something the 23rd of March, died at April. No, pretty much illegible other than that. There again. This one's broken in half, but you've got Henry Frederick, Ellen Frederick, John MacDonald, who departed this life September the 11th, 1856, aged 26 years. And there's a bit of verse below that, but just completely worn away. These ones, which are more towards the main road, are completely more or less worn away. There's one here on its side that's got grass grown over it and everything. Elizabeth Raw, R-A-W something. Yeah, some more there. Sorry for having to stand on you, Matthews. Mr. James Pike. Of this parish. It's the Pike family grave. And in those days, they buried deep. And I mean deep. So when you bought a family grave, the first one in, and I'm really not joking, could be anything from 20 foot down. And that's how on some of the old gravestones you think, Jesus, all them names, how did they get them all in there? That's how. Right. We'll carry on with the outside bit. This is on East India Dock Road. Poplar. And if you want to go to the Greenwich and whatnot where I went today, catch a D7 from that bus there, get off at Island Gardens, go through the tunnel over to Greenwich, and you'll have a good day if you like history. I love all history. Some people don't like churchyards, they find them creepy. I've been called odd, morbid, strange, all sorts for doing this, but I've learned to be comfortable in my own skin and then to basically tell people to shove off and be comfortable in theirs. So there we are. That told them, didn't it? I'm joking. Right. Ah, this one's pretty good, legible. Once we get past all the bushes and stuff. Ow! Oh, shite! That hurt. Gosh, that... okay. Harriet, wife of Edward Howsett of this parish, who departed this life November the 3rd, 1858, in the 30th year of her age. And there's no one else on that one. Ooh. Harriet, wife of Edward Howsett, which probably means as she's only in there on her own and died young. Edward Howsett probably remarried, may have moved, maybe buried elsewhere. Husband and wives were normally buried together in a private grave like that. Oh dear. T M dot H 18 J H 1836. Then another name there, 1839. Sometimes I was told as well with these little ones that have got just initials on, sometimes what that means as well is by the time the first occupants had been buried and whatnot and the rest of the family was due to go in there, the family had run out of a bit of money and they may not have had the full money to have a full inscription done. Isaac John Carver, who departed this life The 5th of October 1857, aged 7 years. Also Henry, brother of the above, departed this life, something November 1857, aged 5 years. Then there's a verse. Then it's got also Marianne Carver, mother of the above, departed this life the 20th of March 1861. No, that's daughter of the above, sorry, or sister of the above, because she's aged 6 months. And God shall wipe away all their tears, and there shall be no more pain. All Saints Churchyard, or church rather I should say, for anyone that does wish to give this place a visit. It's full of history. These are all old East Enders. Although this area once upon a time was in Middlesex. MR 1823, CS 1834. I hope everyone's enjoying this, not finding it too boring. I know my cemetery tours have been quite popular, so. And this is obviously older than a cemetery. Before cemeteries, this is what you had, churchyards, and they became rapidly full when when London's population boom came in the Industrial Revolution in the 1850s. Places like this filled up quickly, and in the end they were health hazards. You had to have cemeteries built. EW 1829, WW 1829, something W 1829. Jesus Christ, they lost 3 people in 1 year. Poor people. Memoritas, John something, the rest of it's worn away. Yeah, back to where I was, sorry. Yeah, when the Cemeteries Act came in because churchyards became too full. Also as well, if you had someone in a workhouse and they were of a very poor family, the family sometimes, and it's awful that they had to do it and they must have felt terrible, they wouldn't reclaim the body because they couldn't afford the burial fee. So you'd either be buried at the cost of the parish in the cheapest grave that could be, and unfortunately after the 1820s, when one of the Anatomy Acts passed, if no one claimed you, you could be sold to an anatomy school. And that's also what happened to one of my ancestors, a Sarah Lazelle. Her husband had been a butcher all his life, and they both had the misfortune to live into old age when there was no pension and no welfare state. Their children were poor as well. We don't know whether they got on and things like that. And that's not known. And yeah, they both ended up in the workhouse. She ended up at an anatomy school. Here lieth dash all on away. That's old as well. Here lieth. That's old, that one. Those types, as I say, are the 1700s type ones. You might think, oh, what a geek, he knows different gravestone types. I don't care if you want to call me a geek. I've got a page also on Find a Grave. Luke 1984, search for me as. I've covered a lot of churchyards, cemeteries in London. I've covered a lot of graves. And through doing that, I've been able to help a couple of people with their family research. Henry Gibbs of this parish, who departed this life something November 1841. Rests worn away. That just says sacred to the memory of. Rests worn away. Worn away. And then we'll get back to around where we were, and then we'll start with the middle bit. How long have I been on? It'll probably be about over half an hour, but have a relax, that's all you don't. This one here. Mrs. Marianne Watson, the dearly beloved wife of Mr. Robert Watson of this, that will be parish, and the rest of it's gone. And when it was more unusual in those days to have dearly beloved, and as you see by these, it's very rare to get in loving memory of. That came later. Trends in death changed and whatnot. Mr. Richard Roberts, canon of this parish, who of this parish, who died at Jamaica, February the 12th, 1841. Oh, that's very interesting. Of this parish, look, who died at Jamaica. He'd have probably been in the army or the navy or something like that. Maybe a bureaucrat working over there. 1841 wouldn't be slave trade. We ended that in the 1830s. Age 45 years. Also Miss Jessie Charlotte. I'm not sure what that surname is. And I've got this much better now. The sun's just died a little bit. In memory of Captain Robert Nixon. Captain Robert Nixon. So, and I didn't see that before, so I was right. He would be Army or Navy then. Wouldn't be the Air Force in those days. They are worn away. Back view of the church. Zoom out a bit. That's it. Now that's an interesting one. That's a little story. I shall have a look online. Sometimes you get little miniatures painted of quite a lot of the people in Jamaica had drawings done of themselves. A lot of old seamen retired to Jamaica, and a lot of the seamen and the sailors, a lot of them could draw really well, so that was a living they made for themselves. Sacred to the memory of H. Jung Blut. Oh, that sounds Chinese, doesn't it? H. Jung Blut. Jungblut, who departed this life January the 17th, 1860, aged 40 years. A kind husband and affectionate father. We something tell who next may fall. We cannot tell who next may fall. Beneath thy chastising rod, one must be first, but let us all prepare to meet our God. Okay, that's very good. I'll do this one now so I don't have to do it again in a minute. Sacred to the memory of George Thomas Rames of this parish, this life, 1835, aged 40 years. George Thomas, Ramace, Ramage, sorry, Age, Ramage, George Thomas Ramage. And there, as I say, with the angels and that kind of thing that you have. And this is known what's known as a sepulchre one. It's really morbid, but they're like how shrouded bodies would look. That probably would have had writing on it, but you can see it has either been worn away or smashed away. It looks like lawnmower damage to me. Oh, we did that one, didn't we? These are all worn away. Yeah, this is going to be over a 30-minute one, I'm afraid, guys and girls. Sacred to the memory of John Thomas Gould, Gould, Gould Cross. dearly beloved husband. Can't make out the middle bits of it, but it's got died December the 29th 1831 in the 44th year of his age. And also that looks like Charlotte, just right at the bottom. See where the dirt meets the thing. I don't like to scrape away at them with my shoes, it seems disrespectful, doesn't it? But there they are. As I say, the white ones are all, they're going to be very early 19th century, because this place, it was about 1817, 1820, something like that, this place opened. I will find details, the historical details, and put it in the description. Sacred to the memory of Mrs. Frances Boggins of this parish, who departed this life September something 1839, aged 72 years. I do hope I've not trodden in. Oh Christ, I have as well. I knew I had. I always do that. Always manage to tread in dog's muck. That's going to smell lovely on the bus, isn't it? That is. I stopped doing that I used to do it all the time when I was a kid. If ever there was dog muck to be found, I would find it. And it hasn't rained a bit like much today, so there ain't even any puddles to scrape it off at. Look, it's everywhere. Sorry, I shouldn't show you. Sorry. I'm just grumbling. People let their dog shit in a place like this and not pick it up. Some people just behave like barbarians, don't they? I mean, it's a fucking churchyard, for Christ's sake. Sacred to the memory of. It's all on the way. Goodness sake, it really smells now. At least the other one hasn't copped it. This one, you ain't going to see no inscription, but very similar to the design we saw on the one just over there with the weeping lady. Sacred to the memory of Mr. William. That's Champner or Chamberner or Chamber. Them's worn away, those ones. And here is one with good writing on it. The ones that are near the trees have been well protected. Sometimes people in the old days would deliberately plant a tree next to their relative's grave in the hope that it would grow and the churchwardens wouldn't want to dig the tree up, because don't forget, after so long, even with a private grave, and it's the same nowadays, if it wasn't being looked after, taking up time, where it was known as in a churchyard every 100 years or so, sometimes 50 with the poor graves, every 50 years, they'd have to take the bones up and they would go into a charnel house or the crypt in the church. Sacred to the memory of Maria, late wife of James Brutton of this parish, who died the 12th of March 1860, aged 74 years. Also Mr. James Brutton, who departed 6th of July 1861, aged 79 years, interred in Bow Cemetery. His end was peace. Interred in Bow Cemetery. That'll be Tower Hamlets Cemetery. That's quite unusual. Maybe well, I don't think he would have died poor, because they've put his name on there. They wouldn't have been able to afford that. It could be something to do with the Cemeteries Act. The grave may have been full, and if it was a family grave and they had space, they'd bury you in it. But after the Cemeteries Act was passed, which was in around about the 1850s, thereabouts, they really tried to avoid burial in churchyards because they became health hazards, and I do mean health hazards. There's stories in not just London, all parishes all over the place, of some people having to, on a Sunday, to go to church, to run into the church with rags clots to their noses because of the smell. WIL or 11 1848. WIL will 1848. Right, we are more or less nearly where we started. As I say, the old houses are the ones the Luftwaffe left alone, and the newish looking ones are replacements, and the flats are ugly 1950s or 60s looking flats. Sacred to the memory of Thomas Manley something. Looks like Williamson. Right, so we've done that now because we came in here and we started there, so we'll now do this bit, which is a gated area. It's like a little garden type thing. And if you are a smoker at the moment, take an empty bottle out with you with just a drizzle of water in, and bung your fag butts in there if there ain't no butt bins or bins or anything to chuck them, because this is just, you can see the ground, it's fire waiting to happen. And it might just be a bit of grass to some people, but whether you like insects and creepy crawlies or not, they don't deserve to be burned to death, do they really? So, right, that is a little lecture from London, not a lecture, but a bit of advice from London Luke. Just go in here, shut the gate. These people here would have been very rich to be buried this close to the church. Back to cemeteries and churchyards. When people were the authorities were phasing out churchyard burial and cemeteries, the ordinary people did not like the idea of it because the old religious edict was that you must lay within the grounds of your parish church ready for judgment day. Doesn't matter whether they took you out your grave and put you in the crypt or in a bone shoe or charnel house, as long as you were within your parish church to rise for judgment day. And cemeteries are not people's parish churches, and they did not like the idea of it. And the only reason it really got going after a while was because one of King George III's sons had to be buried in a cemetery because he'd married a common woman, like a commoner, and she couldn't be buried in the royal vaults or whatnot. Yeah, and once that happened, people thought, oh, we could be buried next to the Duke of whatever he was. And yeah, that's what got cemeteries going. Oh dear, so Thomas. Also Louisa, his wife. John Sursted, Gent. It'd have to be with a headstone, with a vault stone like that. Herbert Tatham Brown, born the 17th of August 1853, died the 26th of March 1854, and Randolph Dunbar Brown, born the 31st of October 1855, the beloved children of William Smith Brown and some Phoebe, the rest swan away. I'm glad I got her first name though. like to give people their names. This here one will be very old, very, very old. Early, more or less when this church went in. And it's also possible that some people may have had their relatives moved into churchyards and different churchyards. That did happen occasionally. In loving memory of Bessie Blackmore. Died April the 22nd, 1918, aged 50 years. Thy will be done. In loving memory of Matilda Isabella Penny. Sextoness. Oh right, that's very unusual. This is interesting. You have a sexton who is a churchyard, like a warden of the churchyard, keeps order, makes sure where the new burials goes and things like that. This lady was a sextoness. That's very unusual. Died January the 26th, 1930. Sorry, she was sextoness from 1880 to 1930. And she died on January the 26th, 1930, aged 95 years. Rest in peace. In loving memory of Fanny Ada Robinson, for 22 years, faithful worker of this church, departed this life January the 19th, 1915, aged 56. Jesus mercy. In memory of Bertram Edgar Hamilton, churchwarden, died January the 7th, 1916, aged 33. I wonder if he was killed in the war. Oh, because you had the air raids, didn't you, round about then? I will have to come and view the inside of this church one day, which I've not done. Oh goodness, I stood up too quick then, I've gone really dizzy. Whew. Also of Louisa. Such a shame. Sometimes when you come back at different times of the year, the dampness can make them easier to read. I didn't notice this one. Sorry guys for having to walk on you. Sacred to the memory of Mary Burnett Budulph, the wife of Mr. John Budulph of 51 Lombard Street, who departed this life December the something 1848, aged 55 years. And then there's a verse, but I can't make that out. Other names, if there were any on there, have worn away. Oh, shite. Hell. Oh dear, that goes down into a grave. These are vaults, these ones as well. This one collapsed. My granddad's ankle went into the ground in a cemetery like that once, and as a joke he screamed and went, "Oh God, Liz, to my nan, they've got me, they've got me." She did not find it funny. Also, Mary Ashbrown. Yeah, Ashbrown, who died who departed this life March the 22nd, 1839, aged 32 years. A lot of the ages are young, aren't they, for our time? And a lot of the young ones are women. And don't forget, childbed or childbirth mortality back then was horrendous, absolutely horrendous. And infant mortality, out of every 5 children that a woman had, and the women had big families back then, she would have to expect to lose 3 of them. The family vault of I really can't remember. It looks like and then V. Of Mary Verbrand. Brand and that looks like Georgina or Georgiana Evan, 1829. Any road. I'll check these ones, see if there's any inscriptions on them, but I think they're going to be worn away. EM 1852, MM 1843. Also Mrs. Francis Malor, that looks like Malor. What's that? Mrs. Francis Malor. Died February the 6th, 1835 or 85, aged 90 years. So she lived a good age. To the memory of William Collins, Esquire. Died June the 28th, 1833, aged 74 years. Also Mrs. Rosamond Roberts, niece of the above, died August something 18, that looks like 41, aged 63 years. Oh, sorry, my finger was in the way there. Sorry, I didn't realise that. Right. This was the one I wanted to, because I couldn't see it. My eyesight isn't too great. I couldn't see over the fence. This was the one that I wanted to have a look at. To the memory of Jane, daughter of Henry and Jane Tennant of this parish, who died October the 26th, 1838, aged 4 months. Also Mr. Henry Dalzell Tennant, who died May the 19th, 1848, aged 48. Also Jane Tennant, widow of Henry Dalzell Tennant, who died March the 5th, 1893, aged 92. Oh, another well-lived lady, a long-lived lady. If you could live past all the dangers and whatnot, and losing dozens of your children, you could have a comfortable enough life if you had money. Also, the daughter, their daughter, Marianne, beloved wife of Mr. Joseph Hughes of Ratcliffe, who died March or May the 12th, can't see because there's a leaf in the way, and I'm not, this is brambles, 1853, aged 21 years. Also, ouch, now I am caught up. Oh. Ouch. Also Mr. Joseph Hughes, who died March 26, 1853. So, hang on. Also Henry Joseph Hughes, who died March the 26th, 1853, aged 1 month. Ouch. That's all brambles, that. Hope you guys and girls love me and appreciate this. And this is the Garden of Remembrance. Oh. Oh, that's not good, is it? Oh, crumbs. Look. Whole thing's apart, look. Young hoodlums. It's the lock broke on it. Now we've just the ones in the middle to do. I zoomed out. Oh, been nearly an hour on this one. Oh, sorry guys and girls. Elizabeth. Hesper. Looks like William Fuller. And that was that one we just had a look at. Sorry I've been so long on this one, guys and girls. Anyone that likes their churchyard tours will like this. Anyone that don't will think, God, what boring. But there we are. I wonder who it is who parks their cars in here. Young hoodlums. I'm just going to go around this bit now and do these few. And I am off home, and I'm having a nice weekend in this weekend. Done a lot of filming, picture taking and everything this week. The family grave of something Johnson. John Rennie, son-in-law of L and S Johnson. Oh, the family grave of L and S Johnson. Died 13th of September 1842, aged 33 years. Caroline, wife of the above, died 13th of September 1886, aged 76 years. Peace after pain. In memory of Sarah Johnson, died the 6th of March 1829, aged 40 years. Louis Johnson, husband of the above, died the 20th of January 1862, aged 79 years. Interred Bow Cemetery. That's another one then, so it's got to be after the Burials Act that they must have stopped burials in full up family graves. John Rennie, son of J and C Rennie, died 22nd of May 1896, aged 58 years, interred Ilford Cemetery. Captain John Skur, son-in-law of J and C Rennie, died 21st of August 1900, aged 66 years, interred in Ilford Cemetery. Caroline Skur, wife of the above, died 31st of December 1907, aged 71 years, interred in Ilford Cemetery. So obviously it's an old family grave, and they probably would have wanted to be buried here, but maybe couldn't. It's probably full up, or maybe the Burial Act didn't allow it, and they've had the names put on instead. Sometimes in life and death you have to trump for second best. Why is there a wheelchair in there? There's a wheelchair in there. How strange. Can't see any of the inscriptions on the gravestones anyway, but I know a lot of homeless people stay around this way. Mr. William Martindon. Who died? No, it's one away, that one. Mr. William Oh, it's a commode chair. Oh, good God. Ooh. What the dog muck and that? Christ. Things people leave in churchyards, I ask her. And this one is Mrs. Anne. Looks like Brenman or Blewett. Mrs. Anne Blewett, who departed this life, something 1826, aged 80 years. Also Mr. Looks like Benjamin Wallace, son-in-law of the above, who departed this life something July the 11th 1838. That looks like aged 62 years. Then you've got also Mrs. Caroline Wallace, wife of the above Mr. Benjamin Wallace, who departed this life December something, that's 18, it could be 38 or 58, in her 58th year. And also Frank Benjamin Blewett, son of Francis Blewett of Blackwall and grandson of the above, who departed this life April the 1st 1859, aged 12 years and 8 months. We have pretty much covered everyone now, I believe. I should jolly well think so too. To the memory of Mr. George Fletcher of this parish. The rest of that is well gone, so you ain't going to see that, I'm afraid. And ladies and gentlefolks, we are back over here. I didn't check these ones on this side, so I will check them quickly. No, that's all worn away. That's very much worn away by the looks of it. Yep. This one is something Elizabeth Rogers, beloved wife of Mr. George Rogers of this parish, who departed this life the 30th of March 1853. Ooh, can't make out any more of that, it's worn away too much. And this one was the sepulchre type one that I said about. I wanted to check, save me going back round. That's down into the crypt. And hope you all enjoyed this tour, ladies and gentlemen. Sorry it's been a very long one, but there we are. These things happen. Right, take care all. If you did like it, please give it a like and a share. Thank you all for watching.